So in this video, we're going to look at how do we solve trig equations, but this time we'll need a calculator for it, so it won't be our special angles. Like last time, we want to get, our goal is to make it to be our trig function, so like in this case tan theta equals k. That's kind of what we're going for, right? Tan theta equals some number, because then we can solve for theta from there. So I need to collect all my like terms. I need to get all the tan thetas together. So what I've got to start with is tan theta minus 1 equals 3, tan theta plus 2. Let's subtract the 2 from both sides to kind of move it over. So minus 2 on that side, minus 2 on this side. And let's also subtract the tan theta from this side to move it over as well. So let's subtract tan theta and subtract tan theta on this side. So what that's going to do is cancel out the tan thetas here and cancel out the 2's there. All right, and I'll be left with negative 1 minus 2 over here, and on this side, 3 tan theta minus tan theta. Right now I can collect like terms, so negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. Over here I have 3 tan theta minus 1 tan theta makes 2 tan theta. I need to get tan theta on its own, so divide both sides by 2. And that gives me, the 2's cancel there, that gives me negative 3 over 2 equals tan theta. So I get this, tan theta is negative 3 over 2. So if you remember, when we're solving something like this, to get the theta out, to find theta 1, you just do the inverse tan of negative 3 over 2. So you can just do that on your calculators. We do negative 3 over 2. You inverse tan that. That gives me a theta 1 of negative 56.31. But that's not the only answer. And in fact, it's not even an answer between 0 and 360, so it's not one of the right answers yet. The related angle for tan theta is we take our original angle, theta 1, and we add 180 degrees. So we're going to take that negative 56.31 and add 180, and that gives you 123.69 degrees. So that is an angle between 0 and 360 here, so that is a good one. That would be a solution. There's a second solution though too. We need to find that one as well. So to do that, for theta 3, what you do is you just find a coterminal angle with the negative one. So this guy here, our negative angle, we'll just find something coterminal with that. What you do to find a coterminal angle is take that theta 1, the 56.31, and just add 360 to it. And that gives me 303.69 degrees. So that right there is also a solution to this here. So my two answers to this equation here would be the 123.69 and 303.69. All right, so here's another quadratic one. When you have quadratic ones, we have to start by solving these the same way that we did before. So we have to do something like this. We have to say let some letter, maybe m, equal sine theta. Then we replace all the sine thetas with an m. So instead of being 6 sine squared, it's going to be 6m squared for that first term. So our equation becomes 6m squared. And instead of minus sine theta, it's going to be minus m. Minus 2 stays, and that all equals 0. So you can see that's a quadratic equation. How do we solve quadratics? Well, we factor them. So we factor this. So it'll be 6m divided by 6. Now I'm looking for numbers that multiply to 6 times negative 2. So they have to multiply to negative 12. They have to add to negative 1. So what multiplies to negative 12? Adds to negative 1, well, it would be negative 4 and positive 3. That would multiply to negative 12, add to negative 1. Here's the problem though, neither of those is divisible by 6, so I'm going to need to change that 6 on the bottom to be a 2 times 3. And then I can take the first factor and divide it by 2, the second factor divide it by the 3. So that's going to give me 6m over 2 is 3m, and then minus 4 over 2 will be minus 2. And the other factor will be 2m plus 1. And this all equals 0. All right, then we replace m with sine theta. M was just a placeholder in the first place, so we go back to saying this is 3 sine theta minus 2, and this is 2 sine theta plus 1, and the whole thing equals 0. So when you have something factored and you're trying to solve for usually an x, but in this case now a theta, you just have to set each factor equal to 0, right? So we set the first factor equal to 0, we solve for theta in that factor. So I'll do that just over here. So 3 sine theta minus 2 equals 0. That's my first factor. If that equals 0, right, then I'd have 0 times stuff, and that would give me 0 overall. So that's why that's a solution. Move the 2 to the other side so it gets added. So you'll have 3 sine theta equals positive 2. Divide both sides by 3. And we get sine theta equals 2/3. So to solve for theta here, this is not a special angle, so I can't be drawing sort of a unit circle to figure it out. I have to use just my calculator. So theta 1 will be the inverse sine of 2/3. And when I do that on my calculator, I get 41.81 degrees. Theta 2 is going to be 180 minus theta 1. If you remember, that's our related angle for a sine function. We do 180 minus the initial angle. So in this case, that'll be 180 minus the 41.81. So that would give me 138.19 degrees. That's theta 2. And that's theta 1. So that is 2 of my answers here. So theta 1 here and theta 2 there. All right, that was just from setting the first factor that equal to 0. So now I have to do the same thing with the second factor. So I'm going to need a little bit more space here. So I might just erase, what shall I erase? I'll erase this part up here. So we've set our first factor equal to 0, and we've solved for theta. Now we set the next factor equal to 0, and we do the same thing. So we'll set 2 sine of theta plus 1 equal to 0, and then we're going to be solving that. So setting that second factor equal to 0, and we'll solve for theta there. Right, so solving this one, we'll move the 1 to the other side. We get 2 sine theta equals negative 1. Divide both sides by 2. You get a half. So we have sine theta is equal to negative a half. Now that actually is a special angle, so you have an option here. You could either use your special angles or your calculator. Since this video is about how to use your calculator, we'll do it that way. Theta 1 will be the inverse sine of negative a half. When you do that, the inverse sine of negative a half is negative 30 degrees. So theta 2, we get it by doing 180 minus our theta 1. So minus the negative 30. Watch out for the sign there, right? You are subtracting the negative, which is the same as adding. So 180 plus 30 is 210 degrees, and that's one of your answers there. And then I'm going to need to get a theta 3 here, right? Because this first theta 1 that I have is negative, so that's not allowed. I need to find a coterminal thing with that. So I do that negative 30 degrees, and I just add 360 to it. And that gives me positive 330 degrees for theta 3. And so my answers are 210 degrees, 330 degrees, 138.19, and 41.81 degrees. And that's all the solutions to this quadratic here.